Hey, Microsoft 365 Nation, the party, the journey continues where we're checking in with our contributors once a month. And we're back with Joshua Liberman out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And Joshua, I know you have a busy schedule. We're going to talk about events in a little while and your schedule. But first, sir, you're keen on security, and I think you wanted to talk about device management and internal vulnerability scanning and a product that you're using. So go.
Thanks, Harry. So sure, as with everybody, security is job one for us. If you're doing your MSP job right, you have to accept the fact that you're an MSSP, whether or not you want to be or not. You may be an MSP as well, but your customers expect security services. So we're constantly expanding our security footprint, and we're constantly trying out and working with new devices and services, vendors and technologies, and trying to figure out how to knit them together into a comprehensive but simple and understandable scheme. Along those lines, the next frontier for us, or this year's frontier, has been internal vulnerability scanning and device alerting. And those two topics are really important to me. For example, we all patch, and of course most of our RMMs do rudimentary vulnerability scans, but they don't do things like look for any devices with default username and password in place, or whether you've got active older, I don't know, CIFS or SMB versions on your network that need to be, and that's server message block, by the way, SMB versions that need to be updated. Yeah, not you, buddy, not you. But we need basically someone to check our work or a device to do so, and we're working with a company called IGI, better known for their device Nodeware, Nodeware.
Nodeware, got it.
It's available as a VM or as a small device that looks like an Intel NUC, about a 4x4-inch device that drops on the network, does scans, provides reports, and gives you truly fabulous information. It can be overwhelming. You'll have some cleanup to do when you first set it up, but it is a fantastic service, and the device also alerts you to the presence of any new MAC address on the subnet that you're scanning. So if you have a customer that drags in a WAP and drops it on their network, or just adds a machine and you don't know about it, to them it's convenience, to you it's potential vulnerability. This means you do know about it. So that's Nodeware, and that's something we work with. They're priced remarkably cheaply, under $15 a month for scanning a single subnet. They have multi-subnet devices and pricing, and even the device, a one-time $200 spend, is remarkably well priced. It's a great service, highly recommended. I'm going to move on. The other half of this story, the other half of the, I guess we're behind here. I'm going to make the admission that at NetSciences, we had not been doing outsourced firewall log reading until just last year. A lot of folks out here are way ahead of us. They're the SOC and the SIM people who are already using a security operations center or a security information event management center, or even a SOAR, which is the newest acronym, SOAR, not SORE.
Could you repeat? No, could the audience, could you spell that out? What does that acronym mean, if you don't mind?
Are we talking about SOAR?
Yeah.
I was afraid you'd ask me that. So as far as I know, it's a security operations and response, but I'm looking it up right now.
Hey, sounds reasonable to me.
I'm sorry, Harry, I don't actually know. Let's see. Nothing quick. I believe it's.
I'll put it on the. Hey, I'll put it on the. I'll put it in the blog. Don't worry about it. So, but continue. I'm more interested in the motion as to why you're engaging with this process, this workflow.
All right. So no matter how well you batten down the hatches, if you've got the very best firewall in place and you constantly update it, you harden it to within an inch of your customer's life, if nobody looks at the logs that are generated, you're missing out. I mean, it's silly not to be aware of that, especially with more targeted threats. 10 years ago, everything was automated. 5 years ago, almost everything was automated. They were port scans. They were the typical simple intrusion attempts. They knocked on a few, knocked a few doors, rattled a few windows, and if nothing was open, they moved on. But advanced persistent threats, or any kind of advanced threats that are blended, that are based on information gleaned from social media or from pinpoint spear phishing type attacks. They collect data that's good enough to help them work their way into your network. They find not just open ports, but unprotected services, untunneled, unencrypted data. They find a way in. So if you're not aware of these ongoing attempts, these APTs, advanced persistent threat attempts, you can miss out on some very important things. Another detail that's more than just a detail for regulated industries is that you need to keep track of these attempts. You need to collect logs, and you need to have information later should there be a breach and there's forensics required. It's both technically and legally in your advantage to have access to these logs. Most people don't realize, most sites don't know that if you don't collect your firewall's logs, every few minutes they're overwritten. You have to actually output those logs and parse them and read them. If you don't do that, they're not there. So there are industries where it's absolutely vital to have this. Obviously, HIPAA. I think you're about to delve into an industry.
Well, and Joshua, I just came back from Fortinet, and I would say the defense sector. I mean, that was a huge part of the Fortinet conference, man.
Yeah, well, anybody who has, for example, we have a customer who is an electric co-op, and even though that doesn't sound very interesting, the reality is that they're part of the SCADA infrastructure of the United States, and even though at their plant there's not SCADA-directed devices, they have access to devices that control devices that manage the electrical grid. So they are not just what I would call private hacking targets, they're potentially state-sponsored hacking targets. So,
absolutely.
Anyway, once again, in our case, we're dealing with a company out of Fort Lauderdale called Vigilan, and that's Vigilan. Very happy with the interaction with them so far. Very reasonable pricing. At about $100, we get log analysis and reporting, as well as alerts. Working with them to define what alerts require elevation to us is important, because otherwise you'll get alerts in the middle of the night for port scans. So you do have to work through these things.
Yep.
But it's very powerful. There's a lot of other good players. I have to mention that SOCSOTER, S-O-C-S-O-T-E-R, the Greek word SOTER, as in protector. Those guys have extremely capable services. They're broader and more complicated and more sophisticated in some ways than others. And even Vigilan offers very good packages where they'll do all the log reading. They'll read logs from every endpoint in your network. For a few $100 a month, you can get every endpoint log read, analyzed through AI and machine learning, elevated to humanized, and reported back and alerted on to you. So those are the two big players in this space. There's many others.
Man, my brain is full as usual when I talk to you each month.
We've probably done this.
Well, no, but with the time we have left, and I started the conversation with you're a busy man and you travel a lot. I'm assuming you're a multi-million miler on Southwest Airlines, but you're going to be participating in a relatively new conference in Chicago at the end of the month called IT Compass. So, sir, what is the story and what are the dates?
It's IT Owners Compass, ITOC, or IT Owners Compass, and it is downtown Chicago at the Merchant Hotel. The dates are April 26th, 27th, and 28th. It's Friday, Saturday.
My God.
Coming right up. Actually, the Thursday night before, there's an opening. So technically, it starts that Thursday night.
Sure.
But it's the 26th through 28th. And if you go to itocompass.com, you'll get all the information you need. Carl Palachuk is keynoting. I will be talking there, and I believe I have a full room to address, and then a workshop, and there'll be some other events going on. I'd like to see that it's a very similar event to some of the ones that folks out there are familiar with way back to the SMB Nation days. But it tends to draw people who are new to the field or newer to the field. She's got a great lineup of vendors, including some of the companies I've talked about, and she has just her second year in this event, so it's a very new and growing event. And I believe if you have anybody out there that wants to attend, they can reach out to me and I can get them a discount. It's a 2.5-day show. It costs $299, including all meals.
Wow.
I believe we can offer a $50 discount with my code. I don't know if I can share that openly, so if they want to reach out to me, I'll get them.
Yeah, and I'll put that on the bottom of the screen and in the blog on how to reach you. So,
okay. Great venue, the Virgin Hotel, Chicago, downtown on Wabash, I think. And it's the 26th and 27th. On the 28th, there's a post-show or, I don't know, after party, but it's actually Carl's long presentation. So he's doing a separate presentation on that Sunday, the 28th, I believe that is.
All right. Well, no, and keep us posted on events. I mean, I think what's interesting about the community, and hopefully we're a platform for this, is I'm gonna use the word volatility, and volatility can be a positive word. I think it's good to have new events pop up. Quite frankly, I think it's good for some events to be retired. You know what I mean? That you need a certain level of volatility to keep it fresh, man.
Creative destruction, Aaron.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk to you next month. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.